Hello and welcome. If you've ever looked at South Africa's education system and just felt a little bit lost, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to dive in and finally make sense of how all the country's qualifications actually fit together.
So, have you ever heard someone throw around acronyms like ABET, NQF, or TVET, and you just kind of nod along, hoping nobody asks you what they mean? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It can feel like a whole alphabet soup of terms. But don't worry, by the end of this, it's all going to be crystal clear, I promise.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the big picture, then we'll decode those tricky acronyms. After that, we'll take a look at the qualifications ladder, see how it all connects, and wrap up by talking about why this whole system is just so important.
All right, first up, the big picture.
Before we get into any of the nitty-gritty details, let's just get a simple, high-level view of how the whole system is structured. It's actually pretty straightforward. The entire South African education system is organized into three main bands, or stages. First, you've got general education. That's everything from grade R right up to grade 9. Then you move into further education, which is your grades 10 to 12. And finally, anything and everything after high school. That all falls under higher education. See? Simple as that.
Okay, so we've got that foundation. Now, let's tackle those acronyms. These are the key terms that you'll hear people use when they talk about the three bands we just covered.
First one up is ABET. This stands for Adult Basic Education and Training, and its purpose is absolutely crucial. It's basically a pathway for adults who might have missed out on school when they were younger. It helps them get that foundational learning, and it creates equivalence to school grades.
Next up, we have TVET. Now, you might have heard of FET colleges before, right? Well, TVET is pretty much the newer, more current term. It stands for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. Just think of these as colleges that are all about teaching practical, hands-on skills to get you ready for a specific job or trade.
All right, now for what is maybe the most important tool for making sense of all of this, the NQF. This is the master framework. It's what organizes every single qualification in the entire country.
The easiest way to wrap your head around the NQF, the National Qualifications Framework, is to just picture a ladder, a big ladder with 10 rungs. Every single qualification you can think of, from a basic certificate all the way up to a PhD, has its own spot on one of those rungs. The higher the rung, the more advanced the qualification is.
And this is what makes it so incredibly useful. It gives us these familiar landmarks. So, for example, NQF Level 1, that's the same as finishing grade 9. NQF Level 4 is your matric certificate. A bachelor's degree sits way up at Level 7, and a doctorate is right there at the very top on Level 10. This ladder makes it so much easier to compare different kinds of qualifications.
Okay, so we've defined the terms, and we understand the ladder. Now it's time for the main event. Let's connect all the dots and see exactly how ABET fits into this NQF system.
This is really the moment where it all comes together. We've talked about this pathway for adult learners, ABET, and we've talked about the National Ladder of Qualifications, the NQF. So the big question, the crucial point is, how do they actually link up?
And this table just illustrates that connection perfectly. Take a look. An adult starting with ABET Level 1 is getting what's basically a grade 3 education. As they move up to ABET Level 3, they reach a grade 7 equivalent. But here's the key connection. Completing ABET Level 4 is the exact same as completing grade 9. And that officially places that learner on the very first rung of the National Qualifications Framework, NQF Level 1. This is the bridge. It's the bridge from adult basic education right into the formal national system.
So we get the system now, but why does it even exist? In this final section, we're going to look at the real-world problem that this whole framework was actually designed to solve. Now, before we get into the numbers, we really need to understand this term, functional illiteracy. This doesn't just mean someone can't read at all. According to Stats SA, it refers to any person who hasn't completed at least a grade 7 level of schooling, which, as we just saw, is the same as ABET Level 3. And the reason this framework is so incredibly critical is because a recent, huge nationwide survey from Stats SA showed that functional illiteracy is still a massive challenge in the country. This system we've been talking about, it's a direct response to that challenge.
So what did the survey find? Well, a few really important things. The number of adults who are functionally illiterate is still consistently high. It also showed that women are more affected than men, and that the older a person is, the more likely they are to fall into this category.
This data really highlights exactly who needs pathways like ABET the most.
So, after looking at the whole structure and the clear need for it, we're left with a final thought. This carefully designed system of bands and levels and ladders, it's not just bureaucracy. It's a lifeline. For many, it's a second chance. The real question we should be asking is, how effectively can it unlock the massive potential of adults and create real, tangible opportunities for everyone? That's something we're thinking about. Thanks for joining me.